Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Third Innings. This is second test day one. I'm your host Varun and I'm joined by Shayan Ahmed Khan. So, Shayan, today's story is Shubman Gill. He gets his
Yeah, yeah,
second
easily,
hundred in
bro.
the second test as a skipper. It's a fantastic. I thought this was definitely better than his first test 100. He was in control.
Yeah, even
He,
I
he
think
did.
so
He took
because,
his time, and then
hmm,
he upped up the ante towards the end, just before the second new ball.
yeah, absolutely. I think this was his slowest test half century, if I'm not wrong. I think Spurs Telang
Mm-hmm.
tweeted it that I think he took 133 balls to get to 52, and you know what? He was in control for a lot of his innings. All like throughout his innings, his control percentage was 94, and I don't think at any point it was less than 90 from what I can remember
Mm-hmm.
because I kept tracking it throughout the whole innings, and so like this was an absolutely brilliant innings from him. He makes 53 runs on the offside and 61 on the onside. So I think that's also a pretty good balance to have. And like from time to time, he was playing those like he played those two sweep shots to get to his 100. He was stepping out and hitting Bashir. And like, what did you think about how he faced Chris Wokes in particular? Because I think England definitely did look to try and target his stumps early on.
Yeah, I think Vokes probably troubled him more than other bowler. He had a couple of like
Yeah.
the edges to the third man area, but he was quite
Mhm.
productive in that area. A lot of his boundaries were in that area, weren't they? Though, like you'd say,
Yeah.
Flick was his like strike rotation shot most of today. I
Yeah.
think he played really well. He knew who to target, and I
Hmm.
thought it was a brilliant innings. He was just happy, just chilling for a while. Like I think one of the most brain dead things I saw people were complaining that he was batting too slowly. It's a test match for heaven's sakes, you idiots!
Yeah.
Like
This needs to
he's
stop.
supposed to take time. Like Rahul
You
Dravid would have
remember?
killed these idiots. Like I swear
You
to God.
remember I saw
Like
in the last like there was this tweet which was like, okay, why did we India lose this match? Who is the reason why we lost this match? And some people were like blaming KL Rahul because he apparently batted too slow. And even though he was striking at 55 or something, I was like, what is that? What is happening, guys? Come on.
but
So
yeah,
yeah,
I think
similarly,
it's
I think in
yeah.
fact I was even more impressed with an innings of this sort because we know that Gill strikes at around 60 in Test match cricket otherwise. So his
Mm-hmm.
stroke making is definitely not the point of question. But as I think DOF brings up that at 4 he looks unbelievable and he's much better against the older ball than being an opening batter. And this is what we have been saying for a long time that
We've been on
Shubman
this
Gill at
train for
5 or
eternity,
Shubman Gill
right?
at 4, it will work.
Yeah.
He is a stroke maker, and I think
Yeah.
you know what? If let's say hypothetically Kohli was still like in decent enough form and playing at 4,
Mm-hmm.
even then I would think Gill would be a great number 5, especially in this era. So and 4 is
Or
like
like if
perfectly
Kohli was
suiting for
around,
him.
at some point they probably should have had Gill 4 and Kohli 5, right? But that's
Even that
like
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Let's not go into that again. That's just a messy
Yeah,
territory,
yeah. I'm just saying like
right?
he's really well
Yeah.
suited for both number 4 and number 5, and like it was
Agreed.
absolutely brilliant how he managed his whole innings today. And there were times like when he was probably able to pull it back a bit, but then he was also like he started a bit slow, and then towards the end he was really like he got into the normal Shubman Gill pace that he usually does. What shot do you think like uh what about his game do you think stood out for you?
Again, I think as we were talking about, he just looked more like relaxed today. I think he just took his time. He was happy to just be blocking. Like it surprised the hell out of me at one point. I was like, how is he? Like, what was he like 3500 at one point? Was he no?
Yeah, I think it was something
Yeah,
similar to that. I actually think I took a screenshot when he reached his 100th ball. I don't remember how many he
yeah.
was
I
at that
loved
point.
it.
Oh, yeah, he was
I
38.
loved watching
He
him.
was 38 of
Yeah,
101. Yeah. And he had a
yeah.
control
I loved
percentage
watching him
of
back.
95 then.
Yeah, I
Sorry?
loved watching his innings today. I loved watching his innings today. It was
Yeah,
so
yeah.
good to
Brilliant
watch.
stuff.
It was just so
Yeah.
chill. I
Actually,
love good
DOF
old
brings up
test
another
matching.
point. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
So DOF actually brings up another point that Shubman plays with much softer hands than before. And I think this is also very valid because Ravi Shastri also brings this up on the commentary. I noticed
Mm-hmm.
this. I think it must have been the 33rd over which Vokes was bowling. And so I made a note that time that it's something that he seems to have worked on in his last 18 months. And so because of that, like he had a thickish outside edge that went for a 4, but because he played it with soft hands, it didn't really like end up being a dangerous shot. Like in that shot, I think in that over there were two boundaries which were a bit iffy because of like they were outside edges. But then after a
Mm-hmm.
point, like he really settled, and even then he was not playing a lot of false shots. Like those were the few rare false shots that he had throughout this innings. It was absolutely brilliant stuff from him.
Again, yeah, it's definitely he seems to be improving, but I'd still just relax. Hope like I wouldn't put a lot of pressure on him. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, of
again, I'm
course.
so happy for him because we've had to
Yeah,
deal with like the last 2 years of people being like, "Why is he in this team?" And then
yeah,
we were just so patiently waiting for him to do well, right? So let's go to the other batter who did really well today, Yashasvi Jaiswal. Again, a
yeah.
fantastic innings by him. Again, he upped his tempo
Absolutely
at various
entertaining.
times. Again,
Yeah.
started off a bit slowly, like he usually does, and then he just went into like a mad gear when he's batting with Karun Nair, especially. We're just cutting
Yeah.
everything for fun.
So actually, at the 31 ball mark, you're right. He was batting at 13 at that point. He had 13 runs, and his control percentage was 71. But then he later starts to attack a lot when he's batting with Karun Nair. And you remember there was this, I think, must have been like he hits three fours consecutive. Like he hits a pull shot, and then he hits like a cut shot, and then like absolutely brilliant stuff from. I must have, 1 second. I would have written it down somewhere. He gets like three really good boundaries in a row. Was it against Stokes? Like, was it when he gets to his 50? I think it must have been then. So,
I think that
absolutely
was the
brilliant.
point you were thinking of, yeah.
Yeah, and at times, like he was also playing a few false shots because he has this tendency of just playing the cut shot. Like he will just wildly swipe at the ball. Like when he thinks it's in his arc, he'll just try and like have that. He has that instinct in him, I think. But a lot of people were like, okay, why did he get out? Not a lot of people are actually like
Mm-hmm.
people would be like, okay, why did he get out to the cut shot? But I think the cut shot for him is like a risk and reward shot at this point because it does get him a lot of runs. And you know what, this innings was much different from his previous knock. The previous
Yeah.
knock, when he got 100, he had like 90% of his runs on the offside. This time it was a lot more evenly split, and most of his strike rotation shots were actually coming towards the leg side from whatever I've observed.
Again, I think it was a fantastic innings till the point he got out. I think he just executed the shot badly. You could argue like it wasn't the right shot to attempt the cut to. I think that's more than fair, but I don't mind him attacking,
No, no, no.
playing
Yeah, that's
playing
that.
it.
I
Yeah,
think I can understand, but I mean,
and
the way
yeah,
he plays, like
that's
because he thinks it's a scoring option for him. Like it's definitely not a defensive option for him. I think because he can score boundaries at will from that type of shot. So I think because of that reason, we have to be able to accept some
hmm
dismissals at times. And I think that this brings us back to another player who has like these sorts of dismissals, and that's Rishabh Pant, who actually wasn't he playing like two? He just have like two or three false shots throughout his innings, but he
again,
ended up
I think
playing
he
getting
had
caught in
four
the
false
deep
shots and then he got out
four. Yeah,
to one of the yeah.
yeah.
It's again like a very strange, and I think I missed his dismissal. What was his dismissal
Yeah,
like? I
even
think
I
he got
went
out at
off for a
long
bit.
on.
I
I
came
think he
back and
got
he
out at
got caught
long
in the
on. So Behram
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah. He
mentioning that
got caught in
Stokes
the
had a
deep.
mid
Yeah,
on and a long on, which is a very
yeah,
cricket 24 fielder. You don't see that.
yeah.
Again,
And
it's again like people are still upset with Pant as they usually are when he plays
yeah,
like
this
this,
is
right?
what DOF is
Yeah,
also saying, right? Like people are
yeah,
still angry at
so
Pant for getting out like this. Get over it. I absolutely agree, man. Like the way he plays,
again, it's
completely. This is how what it happens. And Sanchit actually brings up another great point, which was being discussed in a group as well, right? That
yeah.
Jaiswal actually doesn't get a lot of strike towards like when he was batting with Shubman Gill. So what do you have to say about that? Because I think you
Again,
were
if
also
you have to
discussing
say
this.
like the one negative thing about Gill's innings today was how little strike Jaiswal had at one point, right?
Yeah,
Like
correct.
he barely batted in that partnership. It was just so like
Mhm.
it's weird. I was like, is he actually even making any runs? He was like 21 or 28 in that partnership at one point. It's so
He
weird.
actually
Again,
faces 41 deliveries out of 131 in that partnership. So
yeah,
definitely gets
bizarre.
less strike.
Like,
And as Sanchit points out, that he only faces like six deliveries in his last
mm-hmm.
7 overs. So definitely
Again,
that would have
it can happen.
led to a loss of certain momentum. And when he would have seen that ball, he would have been like, okay, let's go, I'll cut it again. But
Yeah, and
that
we have
didn't
to give
actually.
England some credit too. They dried up
Yeah.
runs in the preceding 5, 6
Yeah,
overs
yeah,
up
yeah,
to that
definitely.
point.
I actually think England bowled really well even in the first
Mm-hmm.
session. Like it was a very intriguing session of play for me. And then speaking of the first session, we have to talk about Karun Nair as well. So what did you think of his knock? Because I actually think he looked very sorted while he was batting.
Yeah, I think
Very
you were mentioning it
lots of
right. He looks
observations there.
great when he hits a four, but he does not look like he's a test batter whenever he's not hitting a four. It's a strange innings.
I kind of get what you're saying because even I sort of because it was just me, right, who said this, that when he's hitting a
Yeah,
four, he's
you
like
were the one.
absolutely brilliant, but otherwise you're not as confident about him. So
Again, a
but then he gets a
fantastic
great ball
four,
to get
right?
out. Hmm?
Yeah, fantastic looking four. His fours are aesthetic as fuck, right?
Yeah, very aesthetic shot. And you remember that innings against Mumbai Indians, like when he first came into form in the IPL. That time also he had lots of like very very good impressive shots. So yeah, I think that was
Again, against
absolutely
Jasprit Bumrah, was it
magnificent.
not? Like it was such a
Yeah,
strange. Like
so that's what
it was.
happens
I
from
liked
him.
his innings, right? He probably got the best ball of the day from. I think of all the
Yeah, he got
batters,
a
right?
really
So he
good ball
was the
from
one
Bryden Cars. Yeah,
who actually deserved to get out.
yeah, yeah. Like he
Like everyone
definitely
else,
gets it. Like if
yeah, everyone else arguably threw their wickets away, right? Even KL Rahul, like
yeah,
he
KL Rahul.
looked
Yeah, I mean,
flawless, just flawless till that point, and he just plays a very lazy looking shot to get out.
I don't know if I agree with that though, like fully, because see, they sort of, I think, figured out that they wanted to attack his stumps, and this was something which Ravi Shastri and Mike Atherton were pointing out right from the third over itself. Since when I started noticing this, and they kept saying that they want to target his stump, they want to target his stumps, and I think ultimately they ended up getting a fall shot out of him. And if you remember, I think just before he gets out, also there is an LBW shout, if I'm not wrong, or something close to
Yeah, I
that.
think at some point Vokes does it, right?
Yeah, it's
He's
in the
just
works
sliding
over
down like,
exactly.
yeah. Well, no, I think
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was an
yeah.
umpire's call, is it not? Or was I thinking of a different one?
No, 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 it was going
No,
down.
no,
It
no,
was
no,
going
no.
down.
It was going
Yeah, it
down.
was a
Yes,
nip
sorry, yes.
backer, like just 2 balls
Karan
before
Nayar's
that.
one was an umpire's call, right? That's the
Yeah,
one. Like,
Karan Nair gets
yeah.
an umpire score like early on in his innings, isn't it?
Yes, yes, yes. Again, it's like I thought KL. I didn't have an issue with KL not making runs. I thought they kept it tight. I just
No,
think the
that is
shot
fine.
he
I didn't have any
got
issue
out
with
to was
that
a
as
bit
such.
dozy. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I just thought that shot was a bit dozy from him. Like
Hmm.
he just kept playing the ball so late, and I just hate that shot for some reason. When people just like almost deflect it to the stumps, like I hate it. Like hate chop-ons with
Yeah, I
I
mean
just
it's
don't
it's
like
a
it. It
bit
just looks so
unlucky in a
ugly.
sense, but also like I think
Yeah.
it was good planning from England to sort of create that indecisiveness in KL Rahul, especially because we know that if you keep bowling outside off to him, he has that ability to keep leaving, and
Yeah.
he's
I think
usually a
Hawkeye
really
was
good
talking
driver of
about
the ball
this,
as
right?
well.
Like how KL stats decline after the first match. I think that's partly because like I think Rahul Iyer was the one who did the
Yeah,
sorry
Rahul
the
Iyer was
like
the one who did the piece. I
bowlers
think.
figure out the right lines to him after the first test match.
Yeah, and
What
it
I don't
seems
get
like
it is
they
why is it taking them a test match when they already have so much data preceding it? Like why not just do that from the first test,
it's interesting,
right?
or but maybe that. Yeah, I think we'll have to do a more deeper dive into this because it's not very easy to determine this. Like,
Yeah, like
yeah,
he clearly doesn't like because I was surprised the way he got out because I was like the way they're setting him up I was expecting a top of fourth dismissal from Works. Like I was like this feels like a top of fourth bold
yeah,
coming like at some
yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah.
Like the way they were just there's something off about it. I still again like I think what he did really well was he still like saw off the new ball even if he didn't make a lot of runs. Right? When does
I
Karan
think to
come in?
some
Like tenth
extent,
or
yeah.
11th over?
He
Yeah.
plays like 26 balls, right? Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Like again, I like that. I like the fact that he at least delayed Karuna's entry point. Right? Again, even Karun's
I
innings, he
see
was
your
like
point.
Gill got a very nice entry point, doesn't he?
Yeah, Gill I think again gets a good entry point, which I think is
Yeah.
very key for a player like him. And the funniest
Hmm.
stat about Karun Nair that I think I actually took a screenshot of this as well. Whenever they were bowling full to him, he had a strike rate of 213, and
Yes.
everything else he had a strike rate of zero. He was
Yeah,
just
good
not
length was
bothering to
zero,
hit
was it?
anything
That's
else.
what I remember.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. That was a
I
fun
think
stat
that's
for sure.
yeah. I think it was a again. I had no issue with either of this. So we'll quickly take a break, and once we're back, I'll be spending a good 1 hour roasting the selection.
Cricket boards actually make watching their games almost impossible now. I spend almost as much time trying to find where I can view it as I do actually following the action. That is why I use NordVPN. They let me find all the cricket I want to watch while protecting me from the nasty side of the internet. Nord will free your cricket matches. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/good areas to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan plus 4 additional months on top. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Watch every match with NordVPN.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Third Innings. Shayan, can we talk about the bloody selection? Right. Finally, I've spent way too long praising the Indian batters. So now let's actually talk about it. So what happens is for those of you who might have missed the selection nonsense that just happened here, they drop Sai Sudarshan, right? They drop Shalom Thakur. They bring in Nitish Kumar Reddy and Washington Sundar for both of them,
Yeah,
which is like on par with Gill being dropped for Washington Sundar in the BGT, right?
yeah,
Like we were
has to be.
talking before the series that like those three, only one of them can play should be playing in the team, right? And Gautam
Yeah, yeah,
Gambhir
yeah.
just tells us to fuck off and plays all three of them.
Yeah, that was too hilarious, bro. Like when I saw all three of them, when I started seeing the news that all three of them were playing, like I just kept thinking about you only that you are
I
going
was
to have
like,
an
I was
absolute
like, I
blast. Like you
was
are just going to rant
no.
like anything.
So
And I
like I think
mean,
for
like in
those of for the
2025,
people,
dude.
yeah. So to give context to the people, right? I told Shayan this. I was like, if this does happen, I'll be supporting England in this Test match, and that's exactly what I'm doing in this Test match. I don't care if India still win this. I'll be upset if India win this with this selection, right? It's so bad. It's both
Yeah.
defensive and stupid at the same time. Like I
Clearly, a
don't
lot
think
of
you need
people
to do
also in
this.
the comments agree with us. Like this whole podcast started
Yeah.
with a lot of people ranting about the selections, and I was like, yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
And
we
yeah,
already
dude,
talked
I
about
mean,
it.
how are you going to get
Yeah.
20 wickets without Bumrah in such a case? Like that is just unbelievable. I
Yeah.
just cannot
Hold up, wait. So
imagine how
why
it's going
did
to
they
happen.
drop Sai if they were going to bring Sundar in for Shardul? They even would Karan to three. I was always of the opinion that Karan should have batted at three from the start, so that's fine. What I do not like is I said this I think on the last third innings as well. If you played them, you have to stick with it, right? Even though I don't
Agreed.
like it, at the very least you had to stick with that decision, and they didn't
Yeah.
do that. Again, it's so annoying. Right, I don't know if Sai is injured, but if he's injured, this they went about it in such a roundabout way that doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah. I mean,
If
yeah, if
if
he
he
was
was
injured, then I can
injured,
still see the point. And like, of course, I don't
nah,
agree with these selections.
if he was injured,
But
would it not have made more sense to just bring in like an Ishwaran as temporary first drop, right? Like why go about
yeah,
this in such a roundabout way? Like it just doesn't make any bloody sense. Like
yeah,
why?
because Karan's batting at 6 one game, then 3 one game. Then what if Sai is fit
Yeah,
next game? Like, when does he come back and where does he play? Because
no,
you're just
because
creating indecisiveness with this
because they've not
mindset.
actually
And I would have
deepened the
given
batting
Sai.
lineup, have they? Right? They've just shallowed it in a roundabout way. They still only have the same amounts of batting.
Yeah.
With the extra steps. Because Nitish Kumar
Yeah,
Reddy
yeah,
is
yeah.
not a number six, right? I was like, I've been on that side from the start. I was like, he's not in your five best batters. He should not be batting at six. I was like, I could see the argument him seven and Kuldeep at eight to force his development, right? I could also
Yeah.
like you could convince me that okay, like Jadeja isn't who we think he is, so we can bring Washington for him. Fine. Like you could even like maybe force me to convince me that okay, Washington at eight, maybe I could like at least like give you that, right? But not Nitish Kumar Reddy six and Jadeja at seven, Washington Sundar at eight.
Yeah,
Like
all
in
three
no
of those is
universe,
definitely a bit
yeah, you
overkill, I
can't
think.
convince me that's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah, that's just, yeah. As DOF says, the thought of India's bowling on this deck makes me shudder. Like, just imagine who is going to take the new ball. It's going to have to be Siraj and Akashdeep, right? Because Prasid is
I
not
think
your
it
new
has
ball
to.
bowler. He's an enforcer. So
This could
that now
also.
you have like these. You have three specialist pacers. You have Nitish Kumar Reddy, who is like, okay, he can give you a few overs here and there, but he is not a bowler. He is not a bowler. He is not a bowler. And then you have two holding spinners. I just do not understand why you need to have two holding spinners. Like you just pick
Yeah, I
Kuldeep
don't.
Yadav, bro. Like instead of Washington, just pick Kuldeep Yadav, and I wouldn't
Again,
even have a problem with Nitish at six, honestly. Like
so
I
like
can still live with
Akash,
that.
yeah. Nah, I still don't know. I can't live with that. I'm sorry. Like, what the hell was
Like
that
no,
selection?
see the thing
Yeah.
is, let's say they play Jadeja at 6 and Nitish at 7, simply because they think okay, Nitish can possibly bat with the tail better than Jadeja does, and we've seen that in Australia as well.
Okay.
And Jadeja at 6, they trust him a bit more, and then they're like, okay, fine, now we'll play our four specialist bowlers. We'll go with three seamers, and we'll go with Kuldeep Yadav, especially in the Test matches that Bumrah is not available, because you need that one X factor sort of a player, and we've pointed this out repeatedly that Ben Stokes has his issues against spin, and similarly Harry Brook also does not like playing spin in England. So, and Kuldeep Yadav is the sort of bowler who can make things work on even on flatter wickets. I think at least you have to give him a chance to be able to develop to do that, right? And like not picking him on the basis of batting, it's like, dude, come on. Like you have two holding spinners now. I just do not understand the rationale behind it.
Yeah, like I don't understand who's taking wickets though. That's like again, like
Yeah.
we talked about this. So like Akash
Okay,
again, I
so
hope Akashdeep has fixed the issues now, right?
okay, so there is one thing. Like, let's say they are just playing for a draw this match, and then they want, okay, Bumrah, when Bumrah comes back, maybe we want to win the test matches then. I think that is like one sort of rationale that, like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, as I
Okay,
was
so
saying,
Ashfaq seems to
if
have
that
a
is
question.
indeed true, right? So if that's indeed true, then we've not just gone back to the Dhoni era. That's like Gavaskar era thinking. That's several decades backwards thinking. If that is true, right?
Yeah, I
So I
mean,
think
Test
Kasturi
cricket
was
was much
asking us,
different back
yeah.
then.
Can you guys think of why Gigi's this nigga? So I do not know. I could not tell you. Like the man just spends all his time like talking aggressive game, but he just makes such defensive
Yeah.
calls and it's a negative calls.
Yeah, like they've kept saying 20 wickets, 20 wickets, and they
So what was
just don't
Ashraf
follow
asking?
it. Yeah.
So England bowlers bowl wobble seam except Stokes who bowls true seam up for conventional swing. Okay, England should have started with tongue and cast for early pitch movement and Stokes and works for later when the Dukes starts swinging. Yeah, I think that's true. We've seen
Yeah,
some
that's
teams
an
try it,
interesting
right?
perspective. I also
When
heard
the
this
lack of
actually
is
when
yeah,
Todd
yeah.
brought this up. Yeah, yeah, I
Now,
also remember
who
this.
tries this? I forgot. Like I think Australia tried to do it with Mitchell Stark in 2019, where they try holding him back till the lacquer wears off. I don't think it worked that well for them, so I think they probably
But
don't like it. Maybe there's some reason why.
Hmm. But I
I
remember
think
actually,
yeah.
it's a bit off topic, but I remember Stark being a really good old ball bowler in the 2023 Ashes. Like he gets a lot of course, some of that is baseball and them playing the style that they do. But I think Stark was actually like player of the series as well from Australia in that series, wasn't he? So in that case, yeah, I agree. So Sing Silly Point says that dudes, please change the font. It's worse than Geo WhatsApp. I might have to
All
agree with
right.
that.
All right. I was gonna change it back. All right, we're back. I was just bored.
All
All
right, all
right.
right.
So I think Death Killer was saying something weird. I'm trying to find that comment. Yeah. No, wait, that's not right. That's not the comment I was thinking of. Once again. Okay, there we go. Would you say that the elongated batting lineup would be the right decision if India reaches 430? They could have been 800 and I'd still think it's the wrong call.
Yeah, I agree. Because
Right?
how are you going to win the test match without 20 wickets? Like,
Yeah.
that is the core question of all
This
of it.
this isn't a lineup to win this test match. I don't care if they win the test match. It would still be wrong. Right? My
Yeah,
rant isn't based off whether the result is in their favor or
same,
not.
same.
Yeah, it's a
I actually
process.
think
It's
they
a
played
thinking.
well today. Like, India batted well
Yeah.
today. I don't think I have any issues with that,
No,
really.
I don't know if I completely agree with you. I think there's some brain deadness from them, but yeah.
But see, so that's the thing, right? Like, with Jaiswal and Pant, they got out the way. Like, that's risk and reward completely. So I completely get that. If they got out in a completely different style, I can agree with what you were saying. Again,
No, so
Nitish, I
the
think
issue I
because
have with
wasn't.
risk reward is I don't mind risk reward on a tough pitch, but on a flat pitch, make it bloody 200. Like, what the hell are you doing not making a double hundred on this pitch? Even Shubman Gill, he needs to make a 200 on this pitch, right? Stat pad. For the love of God. Someone in this Indian team learn
Yeah,
how to stat pad, right?
yeah. I
No
think
one
some of that
remembers
is
a
because
130.
they have played so much cricket on tough wickets like in these last 5 years,
Yes.
both home and away. They are just not used to, scoring those big daddy turns, double turns, and all of that. So that is just insane
Yeah, I
stuff.
agree. I think modern batters are so terrible at it. Like, it's so bad at it.
Mhm.
It's such a, again, like,
And
I don't think
Jaiswal
you
was
could ever
not
convince
like
me
that,
there's a
if you
good
remember,
pitch.
because
Yeah.
Jaiswal used to
Yes.
get a lot of runs, double turns and everything when he was just starting. He got that 170, 171 on his debut. Then he got a couple of double turns against England. So
Yeah.
it looked like he might not be like
No, I think
that sort
even
of a
until
batter,
his
but now he's
last
getting.
dismissal, but last test 100, I think all his 100s were 150 or more, right?
He got
Till the
161 in Perth, right?
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I think till his dismissal versus
L-
England like, for like
uh,
100 odd, all his
hmm.
hundreds were 150 or more in Test cricket.
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah,
Yeah, but then he's been getting a lot of like 80s and those sorts of scores as well. Like at the MCG, he got a couple of 80s, if you remember. Like in both the innings, he got 82 and 84, if I'm not
yes.
wrong.
No, that yeah,
So I think,
I think he's had a lot of 50s in Test cricket, right? If you look
I
at
mean,
it,
of
like
course,
one of
we
the
are just
things,
nitpicking,
like
bro.
yeah, at one point he had a better conversion rate in first class cricket than Don Bradman, right? That's why we're talking about it.
Yeah,
So,
I remember we
like,
had that as a
yeah.
this thing,
I
as
don't
a
think he's
title for
as
one of the
good at
pieces we did that this series.
converting.
That
I don't think he's as good at converting hundreds anymore as he used to be. But that is because
Mhm.
of the home pitches, right? Isn't it?
I think there's definitely an element of that. There's no doubt about it. That and even in Australia, if you see, like he plays on tough wickets, right? Like actually, the good batting wickets he gets runs. Perth second innings and then MCG, which was a relatively good wicket to bat on, and Kane Gill ended up missing both those games. So now Gill is actually doing pretty well at this point. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And again, it's an interesting one. So Gill has two tons in England. Is he better than Kohli in England? Well, that's a question. What a question that is. Doesn't Kohli have 200 in England? I thought he does, no?
He has two, right? Like he has two in that
Yeah.
2018 series. Yeah, and a 97 in that Trent Bridge match. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so I
think
think especially like when it comes to
yeah.
Kohli versus Gill in England, it's the toughest comparison. You know why? Because Kohli hasn't like this is the first full tour that Gill is going to play. Before that, he played three one-off Test matches, and
He
Kohli
played
had that
one
one
of test
stinker
matches
tour.
in 3 years. It was such a stupid
Yeah,
thing, right?
yeah, of course. Like he says, it was a joke. Of course, we agree. We didn't
Yeah,
take it
completely
seriously.
agree. Yeah. No, we were
We
talking
we
about this. I
ourselves
was
keep
like,
having these sort of nonsense
yeah,
discussions.
we
So.
were I was mentioning how like we were saying this, right? Both of us, I think, had the same idea at the same time that all the Kohli fans will be slagging off Gill for saying he's had an easy 100, when during
Yeah,
Kohli's career, Sachin fans were slagging him for saying he's had an easy career, right?
yeah.
Yeah, prime Kohli
Yeah.
in the series with 500s, exactly, right? Easy.
Yeah, I mean, he gets four in Australia, right, against a better bowling attack. So I think no doubt about that. Like
I
he,
think
he
he
would
would.
love batting. I think he would have actually even this version of him. I funnily think like if he lasted here, he might have made a few runs on these wickets. Like especially if he bats at 5. I don't know how many he makes, but I don't think. I do think he retired at the right time and everything. But yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter
So
now.
Akil has an interesting point. Is batting in England just improvised ODI batting? Now there is an argument there I think Sangha kept bringing it up, right? He was like, the Indian batters didn't strike rate it as much as they should versus Bashir. I think there is an element of, like, I do agree to a certain extent with him, right? Where he's like Bashir's not a good enough bowler for him to be going at 3.4 runs per over on this pitch. You're not,
I see
right?
the point definitely.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like they could have put a bit more pressure on him. I do think at certain point I was surprised when Gill of all people was struggling striker rating. Like he's one
How
of the
many
best ODI
singles did
batters
Gill
in the
take
world,
today? I'm
right?
curious about it now. Let me see.
I can let you know.
So I think Gill takes 46 singles today. 46
That's
out of
good.
how many deliveries did he face today? Was 200
216.
something, I think, no?
Yeah, that's a lot. Not a lot of striker relation from Gill there, which is very interesting because Gill is one of the
216
best
balls,
ODI
yeah.
batters. Yeah, Gill is one of the best ODI batters in the world. Like milking singles comes to him naturally, right? I do think.
Like that it does.
Yeah, do you know who surprised me with his batting today? Ravindra Jadeja. He was actually
Yeah,
playing
I
it
think
like
he
an
actually
ODI.
batted brilliantly today,
Yeah,
to be very
he made
honest.
41 of
Yeah.
67. I could not tell you when he made those runs. Like I don't know how he made them those runs.
And he gets what he gets 5 boundaries. Like, and at one point he had 1 4, but he was still playing at more than 50, at a strike rate of more than 50. And I think he actually,
Yeah,
I
I thought he
agree
was
with
brilliant.
DOF as
Yeah.
well that he played really well. That partnership
He
actually,
had
like,
five
it worked
boundaries.
out
When the
really
hell
well.
did he hit 5 fours? I just remember that back foot punch. Right? The back foot punch was fantastic, by the way. That was one of the best shots of this
He gets
match.
a couple of fours of Bashir, then he gets a 4 of Tongue and 1 of Vokes. So I think it was actually pretty interesting. Like, I think he does finish off well.
Yeah, same.
Hitting
The 8 of
Bashir,
50 would be a very Jadeja type game, right?
yeah, he does
Yeah.
have those like dead batting tendencies at times, but he also plays these sorts of knocks at times. I think actually, and this actually suits him better. I feel, of course, these things are easier said than done. Also, so yeah.
Again,
And
it's
there's
like I
another
did
interesting
think,
point.
yeah. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so hitting Bashir was Jaiswal and Pant duties before both got out before they could take him up. But I absolutely agree with that. This is what
Yeah, I
Varun
think
has been
that's
saying,
fair.
right?
Yeah, I
That
think that's fair.
the modern batters need to learn how to stat pad because Gill, Jaiswal, and Pant, these three are all really, really good players of spin, and they actually were doing fine in the last home season, even when the pitches were a bit difficult to bat on. Like if you remember that New Zealand series, they all had, I think, important contributions from time to time. It was the other senior batters and like the bowling not performing to the best of its abilities that ended up India losing the series. So
Yeah, completely agree. I think if Virat and Rohit had bad series, not we're not even talking about good series, they're like bad
yeah.
series, they probably still win that one of those
Yeah,
test matches,
and
right?
the funniest thing was that they actually made most of their runs in just that one innings, the second
Yeah, I
innings of
think
Bengaluru match.
Magpie was saying that it was funny. I think Sangha kept saying, "Why don't they step out for singles?" Again, like I don't think the former cricketers always realize because spinners are faster, it's harder to step out for a single. Like you have to be incredibly quick on your feet to just step out for single. And like also like what the hell? Why does every former cricketer think they were like smashing going a strike out of 90 versus spin? By the way, like what's going on here? Like 3.4 runs per over versus spin used to be quite normal for any batter. Like other than if you're like Sehwag or something, right? Like even the
Correct,
Indian
correct.
batters, like the great
Yeah.
Indian batters of spin, weren't actually like attacking versus spin other than Sehwag, right? They used to
Sehwag is
just
a
bore spin
complete
to death.
complete outlier. Like Sehwag, absolutely no doubts about that. And yeah, so I think Akhil actually brings up a great point because I was also thinking about this. Do you think Pant dead bats too much when he's not smacking it around?
I think
Yeah,
that's an
I think
element
he
of
has
truth
that
there.
Ben Stokes sort
Yeah.
of a thing, right? Like you
Yeah.
have you also noticed this because sometimes
Yeah,
there
yeah,
are just he's
definitely.
just blocking, and then he'll start
Yeah,
hitting.
he's
So I
not
think he's
a
just like
proper batter, so the gear shifts are more drastic. You notice it quicker. Yeah,
I think he's a more advanced version of Ben Stokes in that sense, and probably
yeah,
the
agreed.
difference between both would be Pant is better attacking, like he doesn't. I would assume so. I would think so based on whatever I've seen. I don't know the
I
numbers.
think he's better
And
at
then the
attacking,
other
and he's
thing,
got a better defense than Stokes
exactly,
does.
that was the other thing I was going to say. That Pant actually has a very solid defense, and it's one reason why he keeps getting a lot of starts from time to time. Have you ever seen like Pant getting a lot of low scores in a row in outside Asia? Like I think there was that New Zealand series where he didn't make runs, the West Indies series both early on, and then
Yeah, I
after
don't
that
think he
point
made
there
runs
was
in South
also
Africa before the 100, right?
sorry, yeah, for some time, but even then,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
in the final test he made runs. Like in no even. You know what? The one match that India won, even there in the declaration innings, Pant made some runs. I remember that. In the Centurion test that India won, in the declaration innings, the third innings, Pant actually gets a cameo there as well. And then he gets a
yeah.
cameo in the
Okay,
final test, and then he gets that turn, like that epic turn. So
that's
yeah,
no, that's
absolutely agree
nice.
that Pant has a brilliant defensive game, and
I don't think he's
what a
always got
spectacular
a great strike rotation gear, which I
I
do
think
kind of
that's
see the
a good way to
argument.
put it. Actually, like, he may not be the best
So
strike
yeah,
rotator.
so we'll just take a quick break again, and then we'll be back to answer more questions. before calling it.
I have traveled the cricketing world, and so I've collected two things: the phone numbers of random taxi drivers and overseas SIM cards. Rideshare apps have fixed the first part, and Sally is doing the second. Now, all you need is their eSIM on whatever plan works for you. You activate it, and you can use it anywhere in the cricketing world. It helps you save money. It is a global solution to a global problem. Stop fiddling with tiny SIMs and get the one that does it all. Go to Sally.com Good Areas and use the code Good Areas to get an exclusive 15% off your first purchase. Fly free with Sally.
Welcome back to Third Innings. I'm Varun and Shayan. So Shayan, so let's just look into bit into day two now, right? What would you say is a good score for India on this pitch? Like, let's say, what do you think is a par score, and what do you think would be like a score you'd be happy with India making?
The thing is with par score, I don't even know what is a par score anymore simply because England can chase absolutely anything in the fourth innings, right? So I honestly can't tell you what is a par score. But I would think if they make 400, I would be like, okay, fine, there are some runs to play with. Probably par. 450, I would be like, okay, yeah, that's a decent effort. Anything more than that, I think, yeah, that's great. For par score, Tarun thinks 450 is par and 500 is nothing less than 500 is good. I think probably 400, 450.
I
Again,
don't think this is a complete road. I will say that.
yeah, but it's a good pitch to bat on. That I think that's definitely
Again,
true.
I'd
But
be
yeah, it's not a
surprised if
road.
they get to 500 when like India couldn't get to 500 with 500 like 4 centurions, right? Or 3 centurions, sorry.
True. Yeah, Akhil
Yeah.
says you guys better get 1,000,000 runs because you've got the so-called batting depth. Exactly.
Facts. Facts.
Yeah. So
Again,
and the
like,
fun that is what
yeah.
happened, right? Like they picked a lot of all-rounders, and Nitish anyways got out early, and then now
Nitish
they
has
just have
done
Washington.
nothing this game. So
Yeah.
I don't even know what would be a good score. This to me like doesn't feel like a highway, right?
It's a good
If
batting
India
wicket
had-
for sure.
I think if India had competent bowling attack, I trusted. I'd say 400 is a good score.
Oh
But,
yeah,
like, I would-
if we have
right?
to evaluate the par score based on what actually is going to happen, like depending upon India's bowling as well, then I think then I agree with Tarun. I think 450 has to be par. Then I was
Yeah,
thinking more from
easily,
an
right?
objective point of view.
No, would 450 even be par? Because 450 wasn't par with Bumrah in the attack, right? So
I don't know, man.
if Bumrah were not from India, do you think he would be rated so early? It's an interesting question.
See,
Probably, I think he would to an extent. If he's English, they'd be building him stadium.
that's what I was
going
noticing. If he's Australian
Yeah.
or English, I think he would still be rated highly. I mean, Cummins is rated highly, isn't he?
Yeah.
Cummins is rated
Agreed.
fairly highly, and Cummins is not a better bowler than Bumrah in Test match cricket. At least that's what I think. And especially after this last Border Gavaskar Trophy, that I think before that I was also on the side of Cummins because he had longevity, like a little more longevity, and he had volume of wickets and everything. But now
Also,
at this point, even I
Cummins'
think,
record is more even across the globe than Rabada, from memory.
yeah, I think so. I think my order when I did that piece, my order was Bumrah 1, Cummins 2, and Rabada 3, if I'm not wrong. And I think I still stand by that more or less.
Same.
But I think
don't
Cummins and
ever change
Rabada are more in a similar league, and then Bumrah is slightly above them for me. So
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
I
also
think-
like not that it matters much, but like you also get batting from Cummins, so there's
Yeah.
some bonus there.
even Rabada
you
can
might
bat a bit.
Rabada can bat. Bumrah's pretty useless, I think, most of the time. No, but Rabada's got the best cover drive in world cricket, though. I'll stand by.
Exactly, Brian Charles Rabada. Cummins is not better than Bumrah in any
I
format.
think that's
Of course,
fair. I don't
yeah,
disagree
we
with
agree
that. I don't
Yeah,
completely
I
disagree.
just
We're
said
just
that
saying-
before the
Yeah.
before the whole Border Gavaskar Trophy and everything, I was still like, okay, Cummins does have a lot of Test wickets, and I'm
Yeah.
not so sure if I'm ready to rate Bumrah higher than him just yet. But then after that all-time great series, I think I can agree that absolutely brilliant. Like Bumrah is easily the best Test bowler in the world right now, best
Yeah.
cricketer in the world. Every single format, he might be like the best player or among the best players at least. One days, I don't think he would be the best player, but I think T20s and ODIs definitely. So T20s and
Yeah.
Test definitely is the best player in the world by some distance at the moment. And even ODIs, he would be right up there, like top 2, top 3 types. At
Bumrah,
least as a
yeah.
bowler.
Who, Bumrah or
Yeah.
Cummins? Who are we talking about?
Bumrah.
Bumrah, yes. Bumrah, I think, would be the
Yeah.
best ODI bowler in the world. Now, who's better? Shami? I
He
think,
hasn't
yeah?
played an ODI though, has he? Like in a long time. When did he
He'll
last
be
play an
fine.
ODI?
I think he'll be fine in ODI cricket.
No, he will be
Right.
fine. I'm not denying
Yeah.
that. There's no doubt about that.
All right, so tomorrow, what do you think India needs to make in the opening morning session? Like, to be like, okay, they've done well. Like, I think if they lose one wicket in the morning session, regardless of runs, they've done incredibly well.
If
right?
they've lost just one wicket, yeah, I think I
Yeah.
actually agree with that. But more importantly, I think they will need Gill to be able to bat the entire session.
But
That
then
is
again,
probably
we
the more
know
important part.
the more realistic outcome is Gill will get out and then they'll just still collapse in the morning
Yeah, I
session,
think that is what will happen. I somehow
right?
don't think they'll end up making 400. Like, I have a feeling that Gill will get
No,
out,
I
try to
definitely don't
attack,
think they'll make 400.
and then
If they
after
make
that,
400, I'd be shocked. Like, I have zero faith, right? But then again, as an England fan, I don't think India should make 400, right?
Varun, the England fan.
Right?
Yeah, so get ready for this, guys.
Okay.
Varun is going to
All right,
support
so I think
England
that's
for this
enough for
test match.
today's third innings. We'll be back tomorrow, same after at the stumps. Thank you so much for watching up to this point. Make sure to bookmark goodareas.co. It's the stop for everything. Thank you so much again. Bye.
Brian Lara used pot plants to work on his placement. John Wright glued his glove to his bat. Sachin Tendulkar dug up practice pictures. Tatenda Taibu cut the top off his bat. Claire Taylor used a hockey grip. Steve Smith was from tennis. Dean Jones would call phantom runs. And Victor Trumper turned the nets into a war zone to survive. The best batters in the world do whatever they have to make runs. We have told their stories in our new book, The Art of Batting.